Old friend, before you dismiss these words as another lofty sermon meant for younger men with time on their side, I want you to lean closer, because I am speaking not to the world's opinion of you but to the very core of who you are. You have carried 6 decades of sweat, labor, worry, and the heavy silence of unspoken regrets. I know the doubts that gnaw at you when you wake at 3 in the morning and stare at the ceiling, wondering if life has already passed you by. You think the aches in your bones are the evidence of decline, the unpaid bills the proof of limits, the memories of missed chances the chains that bind you. But what if I told you the chains were never real? That every thought you've repeated, every story you've carried about what you can or cannot do, is nothing but programming written into your mind like grooves on an old record, and that record can be changed. Your body, your house, your bank account, the chair you sit on, these things appear solid, but they are not. They are 99.9% space, vibrating energy waiting for a command, and that command comes from you. The world outside is only a mirror of your inner frequency. If you vibrate in fear, life will reflect fear. If you vibrate in love, life will bow to love. The Egyptians who walked the Nile knew this truth without microscopes or quantum equations. I walked with them, and I tell you now, the game has never been about controlling circumstances but about commanding your own vibration. There are 3 forces hidden in plain sight that determine whether you spend the rest of your life shackled by scarcity or lifted into freedom. They are not locked in temples, nor do they require priests. They live inside you, humming beneath your ribs. The first is love, not the needy love of romance, not the desperate clinging you see in movies, but the primal current of creation itself. This love asks for nothing, expects nothing, it simply flows. It is the same force that keeps planets spinning and seeds sprouting. When you connect with it, you stop running like a beggar after happiness and realize you are the wellspring itself. Think of the times in your life when, for a fleeting moment, you felt whole just because you were alive, watching your child breathe as a newborn, seeing sunlight strike a quiet street, feeling a song vibrate through your chest. That was it. That was the primordial love, and it has never abandoned you. You only forgot how to dwell there. But love, as powerful as it is, can be dammed up. And I see, in the furrows on your face, in the heaviness in your chest, that something has clogged its flow. You carry resentments like stones in your pockets. You remember every slight, every betrayal, every injustice from bosses, wives, brothers, or even from yourself. You replay these moments like a bitter movie, and each replay tightens the knot, lowering your frequency. Do you see? Holding on to resentment is like gripping a burning coal, hoping to throw it at the one who wronged you, yet all the while it is your own flesh that is scorched. This is why I gave you the second force, forgiveness. Not forgiveness as in mouthing polite words, not as a priestly ritual, but as an energetic release, a cutting of the cord that binds you to the past. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is power. It is choosing freedom over poison. You may protest, how can I forgive what ruined me? How can I let go of mistakes that cost me everything? But hear me, forgiveness does not absolve the other. It liberates you. It removes the corpse you've been dragging behind you, opens space inside for new life to enter. And the hardest forgiveness of all, the one you've avoided for decades, is forgiving yourself. For the deals you botched, the words you wish you could take back, the women you hurt, the family you failed in your own eyes. That shame has been a silent anchor. Forgive yourself, and the universe will forgive with you. Once you have cleared the dam, the third force flows in, gratitude. Not the shallow gratitude of reciting thank you like a mantra, but the visceral recognition that life itself is a gift. Every morning you wake is a blank page offered to you, undeserved yet freely given. When you breathe with that awareness, your frequency aligns with abundance. The universe doesn't read your words, it reads your vibration. If you are steeped in gratitude, it responds by multiplying what you cherish. If you grumble, it multiplies reasons to grumble. You have lived long enough to know this is true. The men who complain always find more to complain about, and the men who give thanks even in small things seem to attract luck out of nowhere. Gratitude is not a mental trick. It is cosmic mathematics. What you appreciate grows. These three forces, love, forgiveness, gratitude, do not function well alone. Love without forgiveness becomes chains of attachment. Forgiveness without gratitude grows cold and hollow. Gratitude without love is an empty technique. But when the three stand together, they form a sacred triangle, a resonance strong enough to lift your frequency beyond reach of debt, illness, and despair. And when you rise, your reality bends around you. Old conflicts dissolve. New allies appear. Synchronicities guide your steps. Yet, I must warn you, the moment you begin to practice these forces, an ancient guardian will rise within your mind. It is the ego, the survival software that has lived in your head since you were a boy. It fears change more than death. It will whisper that none of this is real, that you are too old to change, that you tried before and failed. And many will listen, believing that voice is themselves. But you are not that voice. You are the awareness that hears it. If you can remember this, if you can hold steady when the ego storms, the three forces will fuse and carry you into the freedom you always suspected was possible. So I ask you, not as a god on a pedestal, but as a companion who has walked through deserts of silence and watched men your age wrestle with the same doubts, are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your past? Are you ready to set down the stones, open your chest, and let love, forgiveness, and gratitude become the ground you walk on? Because the world outside is waiting, but it cannot change until you do. Say to yourself now, not as a ritual but as a declaration, I am the creator of my reality. Feel it vibrate in your chest. That is not fantasy. That is the first step into remembering who you truly are. Old friend, by now you've begun to sense that something in you stirs when you hear these truths, like an ember that refuses to die out even after decades of being smothered by doubt and habit. You may already have tried letting love rise, forgiving yourself, and giving thanks for what you once overlooked, and yet you noticed the resistance arrive, didn't you? The old voice in your head, the one that sounds like you but always cuts you down, rushed in with suspicion. This is nonsense, you're too old for this, nothing will change. That voice is not a stranger. It has lived with you longer than any friend, longer than any wife, longer than your children. It is your ego, the ancient guardian designed to keep you safe but which over the years became your jailer. Do not think of it as evil. It is a loyal watchdog that has forgotten its master. Its only concern is to keep things familiar, because to the ego familiarity equals survival. Even if that familiarity is pain, loneliness, or failure, it prefers the devil it knows to the unknown freedom beyond. And so when you begin to shift, when you dare to love unconditionally, when you dare to forgive, when you dare to feel grateful without condition, the ego panics. It conjures memories of your past mistakes, whispers that you are fooling yourself, dredges up every time you tried to improve and failed. It tells you that at your age it is safer to stick to routine, safer to accept decline than to risk disappointment. But hear me clearly, that resistance is not a sign you are failing. It is the greatest sign that transformation is underway. The only reason the watchdog is barking so loud is because it senses the walls of the prison beginning to crumble. To master this stage you must learn a new art, not suppression, not violence, not fighting your ego like an enemy, but taming it like a wild horse. Imagine a stallion, powerful, fierce, bucking at every attempt to ride it. If you try to break it with brutality, it will fight harder, it may even destroy itself. But if you approach with patience, observation, firmness without rage, the stallion can be trained to carry you farther than your own feet could ever take you. So too with the ego. Do not try to annihilate it. Observe it. When a thought of fear arises, notice it without becoming it. When a doubt shouts in your mind, hear it but do not obey. The simple act of observing without judgment is the key that loosens the ego's grip. At first, it will be uncomfortable. You will sit in your chair, the same chair where you have cursed the bills or replayed regrets, and you will notice the storm of thoughts rushing through. Part of you will want to wrestle them, to argue back. Resist that temptation. Instead, breathe and remind yourself, I am not these thoughts. I am the awareness that witnesses them. This practice may seem too simple, but it is the ancient alchemy. The lead of dense, heavy, reactive consciousness begins to transmute into the gold of calm, creative, sovereign awareness. You must also understand the cycle you are stepping into. The moment your frequency rises, your external reality will reorganize itself. People who thrive on complaint and victimhood will quietly step away. Situations that once clung to you will dissolve. New opportunities will appear, sometimes shockingly fast. But this purification is not all ease. It will feel as though life itself is shaking loose the parts of you that no longer belong. Relationships may end, jobs may shift, even your old identity may feel like it is dissolving. The ego interprets this as danger and screams louder. Many men, even strong ones, mistake this storm for proof they should retreat. They convince themselves nothing is changing when in fact everything is changing. The secret is endurance. When you feel the urge to return to the safety of your prison, hold steady. The storm is proof that the chains are breaking. But how do you hold steady when the bills still arrive, when the body aches, when a friend betrays you, when you wake at 2 a.m. and the voice of fear shouts louder than your prayers? This is where discipline is born. Not the discipline of military drills or impossible rules, but the gentle daily practice of choosing your vibration before the world chooses it for you. Each morning, before you touch your phone or switch on the news, take a few minutes to return to the three forces. Feel the warmth of love in your chest, release one resentment through forgiveness, and flood your being with gratitude for simply breathing. These few minutes are not trivial. They set the frequency of your entire day. In the evening, before sleep, review your day not to condemn yourself but to release whatever clung to you. Forgive your stumbles, give thanks for one unexpected moment, however small. This repetition, day after day, forges a new neural pathway stronger than the old one. Just as a muscle grows from repeated strain, your ability to remain in a higher frequency becomes automatic through repetition. Science itself has caught up with what I taught millennia ago. Modern instruments show that when a person sustains love and gratitude, their brain rewires, their genes for healing switch on, their body regenerates. Do not think this is mystical poetry, it is physics. Vibration is the language of reality, and you speak it with every feeling you sustain. You do not attract what you wish for with logic. You attract what you are in vibration. That is why it matters less what words you speak and more what state you dwell in. A man who complains but prays for abundance receives more reasons to complain. A man who thanks life for the smallest breath opens a channel for abundance to flood in. As you persist, you will begin to experience something deeper than changing circumstances. You will sense the illusion of separation thinning. You will realize you are not a lone drop in a hostile ocean, but the ocean itself taking the shape of a drop for a brief time. Fear of death loosens, for you see that consciousness is eternal. Anxiety about the future dissolves, for you understand you create it each moment. Even the weight of your past melts, for it exists only as memory in a mind you no longer obey. This is not fantasy, it is the true awakening, the recognition that you are not merely in the universe but the universe expressing itself. From here comes the final revelation: you are a god in disguise. Not a god of thunder or domination, but a spark of the divine mind clothed in flesh. You have spent your life believing you were a puppet of circumstance, a victim of economy, family, age, or chance. The truth is you have always been the puppet master. Every frequency you sustained has written your reality like ink on parchment. The poverty, the sorrow, the loneliness, these were not punishments from outside but reflections of inner states. Now that you know this, the question becomes, what will you choose to create with the years you still have? Do not tell me it is too late. As long as breath moves in your chest, you are a creator. The young may have more time, but you have something they lack: perspective, scars, stories that can be transmuted into wisdom. The universe does not measure worth by years lived but by frequency sustained. So, old friend, take this not as a sermon but as a challenge. Each time the ego whispers you cannot, answer not with argument but with practice. Return to love. Forgive again. Give thanks again. It is persistence, not perfection, that forges mastery. Some days you will falter. That is not failure, that is training. Every time you return, you strengthen the new path. And one day, sooner than you think, you will wake to find the old voice quieter, the heaviness lifted, synchronicities unfolding in your favor. You will realize life no longer happens to you, it happens through you. That is the inheritance I left carved in stone and whispered through ages. You are not becoming divine. You are remembering the divinity you have always been. And if you can remember this, truly remember, the rest of your days will not be a slow decline into nothingness but a rising into the fullness of what you were meant to be all along, a creator walking the earth, awake, unafraid, and free.